Hey Wargamers, Purple Druid again, and today we have something really fun. We're getting ready to do solo dungeon delving using 4 Against Darkness in the Druid Quest project. So we're going to be drawing a dungeon on graph paper using the process. So we'll start with an entrance room, and then you roll 2d6, d66 as it were. So that'll be a 62, and so that'll be a crossroads. And then we roll again for each area you go to. So that's 25. Wait, first 25. So that'll be a round one. So we're just going to roll them up and draw it out as we go along. So I've also converted the characters from Kal-Arath to 4 Against Darkness, which is really very basic. He's got a dagger that's -1. I need to make a note of that. -1 attack roll. All right. For 4 Against Darkness, Morpan the Historian, who is level 4, will count as a wizard and will have 4 + 3 life because he's level 4. When he attacks, he'll be at -1. When he defends, he'll be at 0 because he has no armor. Any other kinds of checks that need to be made, we'll go ahead and use the Kal-Arath statistics. So we have that. We also did a quick, just a rule summary. Attack and defense rolls in 4 Against Darkness, you roll a d6 versus the target creature's level. So if you're fighting against a goblin, say that creature is level 3, you need to roll a 3 or higher in order to hit that creature and do a wound. At 50% casualties, there's a morale check. That's part of the rules, so that's cool. So we have a 4+ on a d6 for them to stay and keep fighting, otherwise they will flee. Monsters do get a reaction roll when you encounter them, unless you attack them first. And minions and vermin are small creatures. They each have 1 life, and then bosses and weird monsters have X numbers of life points. So we're going to use the standard vermin table. (3d6) rats, vampire bats, goblins, swarmlings, centipedes, frogs, vampire frogs, which are awesome, skeletal rats. So if we roll one of those, we're going to use the standard vermin table. For minions, I am going to change that up a little bit because I don't want to put orcs or fungi folk in this tomb. So this tomb is going to include skeletons, goblins, hobgoblins, trolls, giant spiders, and ghouls. I did make up my own rules for ghouls. There may be 4 Against Darkness rules for ghouls. I don't know. I wasn't going to bother to look it up. We'll go ahead and use all of the weird monsters if they turn up. Giant spider is back on here again. And then we have, where's the boss monster table? Oh, the boss table here. Mummy, Orc, Brute, Ogre, Medusa, Chaos Lord, Small Dragon. I am going to update the boss table. I haven't done that yet because I don't want a Chaos Lord or an Ogre or a Medusa in the tomb. They just don't belong there. So we'll figure something else out for that. Now, the procedure, the gameplay loop for 4 Against Darkness is that you roll a 2d6 to determine the contents. After you have drawn your room, you roll 2d6, and that's a 5. So you come down here. It's a room. It's empty. Roll a d6 for a special feature. So that'll be a 6. We'll come back here. Special feature. We'll roll again. That's a 5. There's going to be a statue, and then we'll just roll for that. and so on and so forth. Now, I did create another little table that we're probably going to use depending on what happens. Possibly if we hit an empty room, or if we roll on special features and we get a double. I did make my own Tales of Argosa activity die and copied these down: threat, social, resting, working, traveling, and eating. But I've also repurposed this same die to be an encounter, an illusion, fatigue or injury, gaining an advantage, seeing a sign or some sort of foreshadowing, and then a lair. Now, I haven't exactly figured out how this is going to get used, but we will figure that out before we play, and I don't know, it should be interesting. If we get a lair, we're going to flip over here, and we're going to pick a monster, and then there will be items and treasure from the Kal-Arath table here. Now, another thing that I'm going to add is I downloaded this, and I believe it doesn't say where it's from. Oh my gosh. I believe this is from I Cast Light, I think. Oh no, Perplexing Ruins. I'm sorry, Perplexing Ruins. I'm going to use his room dressing. And what we're going to do is we're going to roll 3 dice, a black, a red, and a blue. And we're going to start with black, so 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. The odor. And then we're going to go blue, number 3, the smell of sweat. Ugh, okay. Number 3 is lighting. And then we're going to come back to black. 4, there's a glow in the room. And then we're going to go to blue, and that's a 3. So we're back to lighting again, and number 3, sconces. So there is a smell of sweat and glow coming from sconces in the room. So just a little extra detail, help create a narrative and make the session reports a little more interesting. Also, the last thing I want to talk about is I did make a die for doors, and we're going to use this same die for all the doors in all the dungeons. It's a 6-sider, 3 sides. 3 sides are blank. We have 1 for locked doors, and then we have 2 for stuck doors. And there are rules in For Against Darkness for the doors. Here on page 63, locked doors, bashing doors open. So there's different ways we can do it. If we have a rogue, we can use it to lockpick the door. Unfortunately, I don't believe any of our characters are going to count as that, but they may go ahead and get some lockpicks. So this is how we'll deal with those doors, is using those rules. And so that's it. So that's going to be our process. We'll go through, and whether or not I fast forward the drawing or not, I don't know. We'll see how long it takes, and we'll go from there. But that is the next chapter coming up in For Against Darkness of Druid Quest. We're going to return to the tomb, the lost tomb of Gamsar, and continue looking for the lost scrolls. Thanks for watching, and as always, keep on gaming.